Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere north of the NHL champion, Florida Panthers. Oh yeah, back to back, baby. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, June 18, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Join us here in the mostly civil conversation while we unpack the news together and try to figure out what's happening, and we discuss it together. So leave your comments, say hello, and participate in today's show. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve. Who should run the Federal Reserve? Is Jerome Powell blocking President Trump's roaring economy by keeping interest rates artificially high? Or should President Trump run the Federal Reserve? Or better yet, is the Federal Reserve just an illegal cabal of banksters implemented in 1913 along with the ADL, the income tax, the Federal Reserve, all at once with Woodrow Wilson? And should we just undo all of that? Just undo 1913, undo that year, and unleash American innovation, American success, financial independence from the banksters. We will discuss that. Also, Kristi Noem was hospitalized. What do we know about our Department of Homeland Security head, our chief, what is she, the Director of Homeland Security? We're going to talk about that and all the other things in the news. So buckle up. Here we go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please hit like and subscribe however you happen to be watching the program. Quick reminder to follow us in the following places as shown on the screen. The New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Although DLive is a little bit weird, it's kind of glitchy, but I digress. We will be on all the alternative platforms because Meta hates you and Google YouTube hates you. So we will exist on other platforms just in case. We will not be silenced. We will tell our news. We will discuss the things we want to discuss regardless of the gatekeepers. The New American Media is also on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. And our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. All right, we are streaming live, sending this message out. Join us live to our Facebook people, to our various groups. Life is grand. Yeah, please hit like, hit subscribe, and join us in the conversation. Once the chat room fills up, we will put this on the screen here so we can get this going. Hello, Deb from Sacramento. Good morning. She's listening in. Thanks for joining us, Deb. Definitely appreciate all of you. Let's start off with Deb's favorite topic. Oh, it's not. It's the irrelevant. I should make a stinger where it's just like, here comes the irrelevant. Dun, dun, dun. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, Panthers are back-to-back champions. Bennett gets the Conn Smythe Award after an NHL high 15 goals. Look at that. Florida Panthers forward Sam Bennett was named the most valuable player of the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. Good job. Look, this might be irrelevant, but we kept the trophy in America. This was America versus Canada. Team America wins. Bravo. America first, baby. So congratulations to the Florida Panthers. Good job. Not a big hockey guy. I grew up in Cleveland. We didn't have a professional team, so I didn't really care. I didn't really play it, but it's happening, and it's news. It's relevant. Congratulations, Florida Panthers over the Edmonton Oilers. Let's just take a quick look at the NBA with the NBA playoff bracket here. And this is a potential closeout game. This is super clutch for both teams involved. A pivotal Game 6 in Indiana will be tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Oklahoma City Thunder leads the series 3-2. Pacers had a 2-1 series lead and let it slip away, but they have a chance to tie it up and force a pivotal Game 7, win or take all. That's what I was combining, like win, lose, or draw, win or go home. Yes, so win or take all game. But of course, they have to win this one in Indiana tomorrow. So that's all I had to tell you about the wide world of sports today. All right, we're going to hit refresh and pull up our Instagram feed here. If you want to get a sneak peek, a preview of what we're going to talk about on the show, you want to follow the New American Media on X and on Instagram. So let's go ahead and get to this. Paid protesters. How big a part of what we watch across the country is paid protesters? Let's take a look.
Where you
This is Charlie Kirk on Real America's Voice.
identified some of these protesters do this for a living. Play cut 296.
Here's my press credentials.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so who are you with?
Right now I am representing myself, and I'm representing the folks at Rise and Resist who have been trained
so Rise
to
and
be
Resist.
marshals.
How much do they pay you to wear this vest?
Absolutely nothing.
Really?
So I did some digging, and the woman trying to stop my interview is named Karen Shaw. She is a professional protester. I found her at almost 100 different protests. Let's look at her portfolio, shall we? Here's her outside Trump Tower saying,
yeah. And when I was in Chicago at some of these events, I mean, it is an industry. It's a professional outrage industry. There's money to be made. This is where the Democrat Party is spending a lot of money. Remember when Nancy Pelosi famously called the Tea Party protests saying, guys, our national debt is ridiculous. We're spending enough already, and we're taxed enough already. TEA, taxed enough already. She's like, oh, these are AstroTurf protests. Here's the trick with the Democrats, and I'm sure this applies with many rhino Republicans, Republican in name only, RINO. The thing that they say, the thing that they point their finger at others, when you point your finger at somebody else, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. The Democrats almost always give away who they are and what they're doing by what they accuse other people of doing. Remember when they said, oh, Trump stole the election. Remember, Russia stole the election. He's a Putin puppet. He was installed. He wasn't a real candidate. It's because that's what the Democrats do in their primaries. They make you think that you have a choice voting for Bernie Sanders, but they don't. They trump you, pardon the pun, with their super delegates. It doesn't matter if the people want Bernie Sanders. They install Hillary Clinton. Take it or leave it. Remember, go back to 2019. The 2 least popular people in the Democrat Party, take a guess, out of all of Pete Buttigieg and go down the list of losers the Democrats put up, the 2 least popular people, the only person less popular than Joe Biden was Kamala Harris. The 2 least popular people were hand-selected by the Democrat National Committee. They were installed into power. They told everybody else to drop out on the same day, and they did. They fell in line, and they said, hey, be a good team player. If you're not, we'll destroy you. But if you do, you'll be rewarded with, I don't know, Secretary of Transportation. How about that, Pete Buttigieg? I'm sure you can oversee the East Palestine, Ohio chemical spill. I'm sure you can oversee all the air traffic control nonsense going on, since you know nothing about it, being a small town governor in Indiana. What was it? South Bend, Indiana, I think was his role. That's what the Democrats do. They lie, they install. They don't let the people pick their person. If nothing else, and I'm not a Republican fan. The only thing worse than a Republican is a Democrat. I like MAGA. I like putting this country first, making America great again, making America greater. That's what I'm for. I don't like the Republican Party. But the Republican Party at least allowed Donald Trump to wipe the floor with little Marco Rubio, with low energy Jeb Bush, with Ted Cruz, Rand Paul. They let Donald Trump win their nomination and become their party's head. Donald Trump overthrew the Republican Party and created MAGA. Democrats don't do that. The Democrats always accuse the other side of what they're doing. So when Pelosi talks about AstroTurf, well, she's the queen of AstroTurf. I mean, she's the queen of plastic surgery, but she's also the queen of, she's also the queen of making very lucrative stock market trades, of course. But she knows AstroTurf because the Democrat Party is the party of AstroTurf, of fomented fake outrage with professional rage bait artists. It's an industry. We're going to print the signs. We're going to get the buses. We're going to shuttle these elderly people to get, hey, we'll give you $100. Go hang out with us for the day. We'll feed you. We'll give you pizza and give you water. You're helping the Democrats. You're taking on that orange man bad. There's a little bit of useful idiots in the professional outrage class that, maybe they don't like a few policies. Maybe they don't like Trump. Maybe they do generally like the Democrats in general. Fine. But these aren't, it's not grassroots. This isn't really the voice of the people. You look at the 2020 riots across the country. The Democrat Party was fanning the flames of this. You had Maxine Waters encouraging people to escalate. You can have a difference of opinion, but she didn't want that. She wanted you, the Democrat, to get in the face of a Republican at the restaurant, at the gasoline station, to cause a scene, to get unhinged and violent toward them. That's what the Democrats were proposing. Kamala Harris was with the Minnesota Freedom Fund encouraging, hey, let's raise some money for the Minnesota Freedom Fund to bail out these rioters who are burning cities down. That is homegrown domestic terrorism funded by the Democrat Party and their useful idiots and their willing foot soldiers in the party, whether it's Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, go down the laundry list. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. They all march for the same team. And there's nothing too criminal for them to get involved with. So are these protesters paid? Yeah, absolutely. Nancy Pelosi, more like Queen Pill Popsy. Queen Tipsy. She. Oh, and then we could say make some jokes about Pelosi's husband. I don't know what's going on with that situation. Remember, the cops had to break in, and there was a guy in his Pelosi's husband answers the door in his underwear, and there's a guy with his arm around his neck, and they had to arrest that guy. Like, whatever that was about. I'd still like to get the update on that. I think the guy was sentenced, but that was such an odd case. Anyway, I digress. Professional protesters.
Saying TikTok time's up. Here's her saying ban guns, not drag. Amazing. This is her telling us that lies have consequences.
Oh, so this person, the professional paid protester, ban guns, not drag. Number one, nobody's trying to ban drag. They're trying to avoid groomers creeping on kids. Leave them alone until they're 18. Leave them the hell alone. Go to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Dress how you want to dress. Live your life how you want to live. Leave the kids alone. That's all they're saying. Leave the kids alone. If you're not 18, you don't have the ability to make these permanent life-changing decisions. So stop messing with their brains, would you? And banning guns? Yeah, no thanks. What kind of commie crap is that? Guns are the only thing that keep the tyrants away, keep the invaders at bay. And it makes the bad guys think twice before they do something super stupid. It's a great equalizer, too. Anybody, no matter how weak you are, if you understand how to use the tool, you can squeeze a trigger and you can neutralize somebody many times larger and stronger than you. Every woman should be trained. Every skinny, weak person, elderly person should be trained and have a tool at their disposal, because we're going to see a lot less attacks on innocent people if you do. So if this lady, this professional protester is trying to promote these anti-American, anti-civil rights, anti-Bill of Rights nonsense, well, I mean, can you write off the rest of what she has to say? No, not necessarily, but yeah, you can sort of get a hint of where she's going to go with her other 19 ideas. But let's continue. We believe E. Jean Carroll. Well, you might be the only one, because that lady appears to be batshit crazy.
She is also very passionate about abortion.
Passionate about abortion. Imagine that being your passion. I can understand wanting to have bodily autonomy, but being passionate, I mean, that's a
Even in the video right now, she's just wearing a hat that says abortion on it.
Nate,
same person, all these events.
She's made a career out of this.
Yeah. Yep. This is her second job, actually. So she's an associate director.
Hold on, Kenneth. No, we didn't say, Kenneth, to carry a pepper grinder with you. Maybe carry pepper spray. That would be, you're getting closer, but you need, okay, something like that. Pepper something, maybe not pepper grinder.
At Lincoln Center in New York City, which is a very prominent theater. It's beautiful theater, but she's all over the country, touring the country, protesting. And I just knew that was going to be the case, because no one behaves like that for free. I just refuse to believe that.
Yeah, and so you kept on, let's just say, your research, you kept on examining it, and there's a whole group of these paid protesters. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, and I've met them personally and dealt with them personally.
Tell us more.
Yeah, so when I went to the Takedown Tesla protest, almost immediately upon getting there, an older woman comes up to me and has a right-wing troll arrow and follows me around the protest. Now, I hadn't even interviewed anyone up until that point. I had asked someone for an interview.
And by the way, these people despise being interviewed. I wanted to keep a low profile in Chicago. In fact, I didn't even want to go to Chicago. They say the rule of threes: don't go stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things. Stupid things is identifying yourself as somebody with common sense and logic with that group of protesters. Stupid places, Chicago for the Democrat Party, stupid place, So I was very reticent. I was very withdrawn. I was very reserved. I kept trying to figure out how to do it. And when I would interview people, you would get quickly, instantly surrounded by their professional protesting crew to try to shut you down, to tell people, no, don't do They know that the more they talk, the more they expose themselves as being uneducated or holding the absolute worst policy positions you can imagine, or some combination of both. So yeah, people do follow you around. Hey, look who followed me around. Here's Nimbus joining the chat. Hi, buddy. Aw, he's so nice. Just wants to come and give me a headbutt. Hi, Belle. Okay, back to the video.
But I wasn't granted one yet. And then she comes along and she follows me and asks everyone I speak to not talk to me.
That was my experience as well. That wasn't every time I talk to people, but a lot of times they put vests on people and they look for people interviewing and they want to go and disrupt that. They don't want, the more they talk, the more ridiculous they sound, and they know it. That's why they want as little conversation recorded as possible.
And that same arrow is at the No Kings protest, that printed the exact same way. And so the original older woman that I spoke to at the Tesla protest, I found her at 20, 30 different protests.
20 or 30.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, so this lady, the accusation here on this video is that they've been at 20 or 30 protests. They've done reports where they ping cell phone data. Say there's a air quote Kamala Harris rally. Come on. Kamala wasn't selling merch. Kamala wasn't selling out arenas. yeah, maybe the Democrats or Orange Man Bad would get you some people in Tucson, Arizona, or Green Bay, Wisconsin. You might get some people, but you had the buses of the professional agitator class. It's the same people with the same cell phone numbers that are pinging and sending their data out. They are moving the same people across the country as AstroTurf to try to show you that they have support that they don't. Now, there's a recent poll that showed, what was it, 19%? Hi, Nimbus. 19% approval rating for the Democrat Party. I think that's still too high. Oh, thanks, buddy. Oh, that's so nice. I love doing a show and getting groomed. Nimbus. Nimbus Kenneth says stop. He's the Tootsie Roll owl too. He'll go 1, 2, 3, and he'll crunch. He'll bite. He'll nibble. Anyway, back to the story. Yeah, but I can verify a lot of what this Nate Friedman is saying to Charlie Kirk here. Oh, don't step on the controls, bud. Now you change the channel. All right. No. Hands off.
Yeah. And then all over the country too, DC blocking the Capitol, stopping senators in the cafeteria, the whole deal. Then 2 more people come along and I see that they're teammates actually, that all the time they're in pictures together. It's all in the Tesla takedown video. And so they all behave the same way. They're all telling each other like this, don't speak to him, don't speak to him. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is they eat their own. So someone wants to speak. They say, I don't care who Nate is. I want to have a conversation. They say, no, don't have a conversation. So you see them disagreeing with each other. And it's crazy because, the left lost the election. So they should know that in order to win back votes, you have to have conversations with the other side. The other side won, right? So it's interesting.
Let's go to 279. This is at an ICE protest where he has a sign that says, I stand with Iran. He seems like a pleasant person.
I stand with Iran. Imagine picking that as something you'd like to show the world.
Cut 279.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Nate. I'm just pressed, and I see you have a different kind of sign. Can you tell me about it?
Sure. My sign says I stand with Iran. They don't have a nuke. They never would want to nuke America ever.
They would never want to nuke somebody. Even though they call death to the big devil, the little devil, death to Israel, death to America. This guy says, oh, they would never want to use a nuke.
Ever. I've been to
never.
Iran.
Yeah. Been to Iran? It's Iran. If he had been there, wouldn't he know how to pronounce it?
What about the supreme leader of Iran saying like death to America? Is that just like words?
Well, that's part of our propaganda.
When you chant death to America, it's not a slogan, it's a policy.
So, Nate, who is this guy? He doesn't seem like a spring chicken.
Yeah. So funny thing about this. So I had to get this video. I wanted to get this video out to my audience as fast as possible. I later did find him at like 6 or 7 different protests with this, Veterans Association that he's with. But this guy, he did speak to me for over 10 minutes. And I always have respect for the people I'm interviewing. They are granting me an interview.
Yeah, same. Just out there listening. What brought you out? Tell us about your stuff. However, when I was in very hostile surroundings and I could see the sharks swimming around everywhere, and you know how dirty these people are, you know how dirty BLM, Antifa, Black Bloc, Revolutionary Communists, Revcom. I mean, these are the people that will hide behind a tree and hit you in the head with a rock. We interviewed somebody on January 6th prior to the Trump speech and the mostly peaceful protest that day, who said her friend was shot and his life was ended. Was it Portland? I think it was in Portland. It's in our documentary about January 6th. But yeah, I mean, they use mob tactics. Like they'll mob up on you 6 or 7 or 8 against 1. Real dirty tactics. So you got to almost always assume once you've been marked, once you've been identified as somebody they don't like, now the target's been put on you. Let's see what they do to get back at you. They're a bunch of cowards. Bullies don't like accountability, but they certainly like lawlessness, and they certainly like the opportunity to cosplay as revolutionaries. So, I'm always courteous with the people I'm interviewing. I don't push back very hard. I just want to get from them what they have to say. Frankly, I did the same thing when I interviewed Ashley Babbitt's mother outside of the DC Gulag on the day after Inauguration Day this year in January. You know, I had some follow-up questions. I had some stuff loaded, and I was going to ask, like, well, you know, your daughter is the only person who was shot and killed that day. But, you know, people said she deserved it. She was in a riot, and she was trying to climb in through a window. And he has a right to self-defense. And that guy, that police officer, was just defending the Capitol. She got what she deserved. What would you say to the people that say that? I think that's a super fair question. What would you say to the people who say your daughter got what she had coming to her? You know, it was kind of tricky setting the interview up in the first place. And it was a very charged day where the sentences for the January 6th protesters were being commuted or the pardons were coming through. And she was reliving all that. And I just didn't feel like it was the time. I just asked her some general questions and I let her talk for a while. You know, should I have gone a little harder in that interview? I mean, I could have. I just didn't see it as the right time, right place. So, you know, I agree with this guy that he, you know, just kind of let people talk.
Are willing to speak. That's great. But he did lie every 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
One of the biggest lies was that that Iran is not funding terrorism. And I just said there's literally videos of Hamas thanking Iran for money. I mean, so it's quite interesting how they just don't listen to facts. And then when I asked them, where's their source of news? Where did he get his source of news? He said, Iranian media. So there you go.
Well, Iranian media is having a tough week. So Nate, how did you get your start here? And then I'll keep you over the break.
Sure.
Anyway, check out the rest of that interview. It's interesting about the paid protesters. Check that out. All right. Promise kept. President Trump has blocked every border migrant in May. This is the first month that there has not been a border crossing in May. Now, can we trust these numbers? I got a video showing a guy who claims he was deported and he snuck back in. I'll show you that. That's on X. But, you know, isn't this what was voted for? If someone wants to enter, they knock at the front door. That's how you're supposed to do this. You try to break in through the back door. Hey, castle doctrine, buddy. We don't know who you are or where you come from. No thanks. So this is showing a decrease from more than 60,000 illegal alien invaders who were released into the United States the year before. According to a report, this is written by Breitbart. The New York Post reported that while Border Patrol agents caught 8,700 illegal aliens attempting to cross the U.S.-Mexico border in May, none of them were released into the country. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. This represents a 93% decrease from May of 24, 62,000 illegal alien invaders released into the U.S. under Biden. In a statement to the outlet, Acting Customs and Border Protection, CBP Commissioner Pete Flores touted how the CBP has received historic support under the leadership of this Trump administration. Finally, you have a bouncer at the front door of your nightclub. Oh, hi, man. Geez, he wants some attention here, doesn't he? Under the leadership of this administration, CBP has received historic support, resulting in another 93% decrease in illegal crossings along the southwest border this month when compared with last year, Flores explained to the outlet. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, revealed millions of illegal aliens had been released into the U.S. interior intentionally under the Biden regime. Homan questioned why the Biden admin released people into the interior United States rather than put them into an ICE bed, Immigration and Customs Enforcement bed, and noted that he did it on purpose. Why did they release people into the interior of the U.S. rather than put them into an ICE bed? Why not put them in an empty ICE bed, $127 a night, rather than a hotel at $500 a night? Homan posed, concluding that the Biden admin did it on purpose before explaining why. They did it on purpose because if you put them in an ICE detention bed, they get a hearing in 35 days. Court records show 9 out of 10 people claim asylum, get order removal, and then they're gone. They don't come back. But to release them and put them in a hotel room at $500 a night, their hearings could be 5, 7, or even 9 years away. You pull out all appeals. And what are they hoping for then? That's that another Democrat administration is in power and that they would award a sweeping amnesty. That was the Democrat plan. That is the Obama doctrine, and that has been blocked by this Trump administration. So kudos for that. Rita Panahi here on Instagram, shared by Communism Survivor. It's a good account. Victoria Vladimirovna. She's Rita Panahi says communists in Iran were the mullahs useful idiots back in the 1970s. These communists helped overthrow the Shah and installed Islamism. Didn't work out too well for the commies, though, because the mullahs slaughtered them. The mullahs slaughtered the commies once the revolution was complete. And that's how it always works. You get the useful idiots out there in the streets, angry and frothing at the mouth, burning things down, trying to, we're going to have a revolution. We're going to change things. We want to be the kings now. Well, guess what? The commies are the first ones they line up against a wall. They're the first ones that they make dig a nice long grave, stand beside it, get shot, and then the next batch of people has to shovel over them, dig another ditch for their own grave. Useful idiots. They're idiots, but they're useful to the people who try to overthrow countries. So never forget. This was in response to the American Communist Party saying, the American Communist Party stands with the revolutionary Iranian people against Zionist and imperialist aggression. Okay. Tom Dalton said, if commies knew history, they wouldn't be commies. So, something to keep your eye on with Iran.
As I mentioned last
Paul, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but I do see his stuff. Paul Cispula says U.S. Attorney Isali says one of the L.A. rioters who attacked police vehicles from the bridge, guess what? He's facing a little bit of penalty here. This is the only way you're going to stop the idiots from being idiots. You make an example out of them, and you charge them, and you throw them into a cage for a very long time. You let them know there will be consequences if you act a fool. Otherwise, it's the broken window theory that they had in New York. You had one dilapidated building, and somebody walked past it one day and grabs a rock, knocks a window out. Well, it's a pretty good idea to replace that window as quick as you can, because if you don't, in just a brief moment in time, every window is going to get knocked out. But if you keep replacing them, they go, all right, well, someone's paying attention over here. We're going to stop messing around. It's the same thing we had to do in my homeowners association in Los Angeles. You have these dirtbags spray painting gang graffiti all over our buildings. Well, I'll be damned if you're going to walk over to my house and take a whiz all over us. No, thanks. We're going to clean it up right away. We'd paint over it within 12 hours. And at some point, they might come back. We'd paint right over it again. They might come back. We'd paint over it again. We're not allowing this. We actually even started painting over other buildings that weren't part of our property because it's the broken window theory. You let these gangbanging idiots know this ain't your neighborhood. This is our neighborhood. There are people here that give a shit, and we're not going to let you turn our home into a heap of garbage. No, thank you. So anyway, here's U.S. Attorney Esali telling you what to expect with the charges regarding these AstroTurf immigration protests in Los Angeles.
This week, much of the violence has been directed at law enforcement, police officers who are just trying to do their jobs and protect the community. As you saw in the news, on June 8th, our highway patrol officers were violently and viciously attacked by individuals from an overpass above the 101 freeway, throwing rocks and explosive devices and lighting CHP cars on fire. On Friday, federal agents in the CHP arrested Mr. Adam Charles Palermo for his role in the attack on our CHP officers. Palermo was caught on video participating in the attack. His social media account contained a collage of photographs and videos depicting a man holding flying debris, a CHP patrol car on fire, and various other damage to CHP patrol cars. In the caption, he wrote, "All of the protests I've been involved in, which is well over 100 now, I'm most proud of what I did today." Mr. Palermo is charged with a violation of 18 United States Code Section 844I, attempted arson of a vehicle used in interstate or foreign commerce. He faces a mandatory minimum penalty of 5 years and a statutory maximum penalty of 20 years. He will not be doing any protests for the next foreseeable future.
Nah.
Another case filed yesterday involves an individual who spit on a military serviceman and a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, you know what? You got the right to say what you want. You can protest. Stay out of the streets. Don't be violent. You got a right to do that. You don't have a right to block traffic. You don't have a right to vandalize. And you certainly don't have a right to spit in somebody's face. That is the most vile. You know, if I want to lick your face, that's my choice. You want to shove your spit into my eyeball, into my mouth, you know, I don't know what the hell you're walking around with. That's gross. That is assault. That is disgusting. That's not freedom of speech.
On Saturday, California National Guard and federal police were outside the federal building on Los Angeles Street trying to protect federal property. Angus Johnson confronted a California National Guardsman, and after heckling him, he spit on him. Johnson then spit on other federal police officers present who were trying to keep the peace. As our president said, if you spit, we hit, and we will hit you with a felony. Mr. Johnson is charged with assaulting a federal agent in violation of 18 United States Code Section 111. He faces a maximum sentence of 8 years in prison. As I mentioned last week, much of the violence has been directed at law enforcement. Police officers who are just trying to do their jobs
and
protect.
Like it repeated. Well, good. You know, lock these people up for a very long time. This is the way. Make examples of these monsters. Raging West is sharing this video here, saying this is a video of Iranian girls removing their hijabs, taking over their school and chanting death to the dictator and the Islamic regime. So my question is this a real video? I don't know. Take every video you see with a grain of salt, but here you go. Yes, I consider, I don't care what your religion tells you. If you're going to try to tell ladies that they have to wrap themselves like a Halloween ghost in 125-degree heat, wearing all black, you can go to hell because you're trying to send them to hell, cooking them in all black, looking like a Scooby-Doo ghost. You barely have eyeballs to look around. Oh, well, that's because if a woman shows herself, I cannot control myself and I will rape her. Well, then that means you're a monster. That's a you problem, not a her problem. Well, she was asking for it. No. No, sounds like you are asking to be hung by your feet and used as a piñata after being convicted by a jury of your peers. Because I think rape should actually be a capital offense. You should be executed in the public square as a reminder. Don't do this. Don't hurt people. Touch a kid, capital punishment, instant death penalty. Rape a woman, you don't accidentally, I had a bad day, or I don't know, this happened, things got it got heated. You don't accidentally abuse a kid or abuse a woman like that. Like that's not accidental. That's monstrous behavior. And that's why pencils have erasers. That's what I think about that. Comments real quick. Kenneth, World War nuke and puke. Nuke and puke. I find I am now a rotisserie chicken. Bringing up Bart. Yeah, see, Kenneth and I, we tell a lot of Simpsons inside jokes. Yeah, instead of an ice bed, instead they get a nice bed. No more nice beds. How about you get an ice bed, and within a month or so, you're going to have your child and you're going to get kicked out of the country. You want to come in the right way, walk through the front door, file the paperwork, wait in line, don't line jump. Hey, if people are on the waiting list to go to Disney and they've been waiting in line for an hour and a half and you just walk right in front of them and jump over the line, screw you, buddy. We don't take kindly to line jumpers around here. So, yeah. Oh, Kenneth. Yeah, I'll show you some pictures of Iran from 45 years ago. The place looked like a great place, and it's been a hellscape, an Islamist hellscape since. So once again, consume these videos with, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. Comments, dear woke feminist, this is real feminism, not supporting a religion who oppresses women. This one says, Islamic women of Britain, take note. Look at your sisters in the heart of Islam on earth, revolting against their oppression. Joyous scenes of freedom. This comment, well done, girls. Respect to you. Freedom is yours to take. This one is Miha, make Iran great again. Miga, make Iran great again. Yeah, Iran from the 70s. It was a destination for the Western world. It was a normal place. It was cool. And it's just been hell ever since. This is what happens when Islamists take over and they want to dominate and transform your country into another province of their caliphate, trying to take over the entire world under the banner of Islam. There are many people out there that say Islam is a political party masquerading as a religion. I mean, I'm sure it's both, but I think the point is it really is a political movement to dominate the politics. And how do you do that? Oh, I don't know. Take a look at Europe. Look at Spain. Look at Ireland. Look at England. Look at France. Look at Spain. Look at the United States. Look at Canada. The Obama doctrine has been to flood non-citizens into all of these sovereign nations with people who are not citizens, to build enclaves, to start gaining political power and take over and dominate these countries. That's called colonialism. People like Obama have spent their careers. I used to tell Michelle, colonialism, that stuff doesn't fly around here. Not a good idea. Not a good policy. Yet the Obama doctrine has been to infiltrate sovereign nations, flood them with Islamic communities to start taking over regions, provinces, cities, entire countries. Expansion of the caliphate. Remember, it was Obama during the Green Revolution of Iran, back during, I believe it was his first term. He could have easily just lent some words of support to the people to overthrow their dictatorial leadership in Iran, but he didn't. Obama seemingly sided with the Muslim Brotherhood, the radical Islamists that were trying to dominate and take over country after country and eventually the entire planet. So, the Obama doctrine has failed, and you're seeing people starting to rise up and shake off their oppressors. Trump, during his first term, he got rid of ISIS that quick. You know why? Because it was free from the intervention of the John McCains and the Barack Obamas, the people that needed their boogeymen in place, their foot soldiers, their useful idiots, to be the boogeymen. And it was widely reported that Obama would constantly get into these intelligence briefings and handcuff his generals and officers. They're like, all right, well, here's the caravan. They're headed over to this location. We can take them out on this road, or we can take them out when they go there. We're not going to be doing that. It really seemed to me like he was playing for the other team. That was my take on it. Trading Bo Bergdahl, the American traitor, for... Anyway, I'm getting a little far afield here. I've covered these stories in years past. Can we get along? Why can't we all just get Islam? No, it's get along, Kenneth, not get Islam. Why can't we all just get along, not get Islam? Thank you very much. All right, let's take a look at New York here. Kathy Hochul announcing that New York is going to steal $50 million from the New York residents, the American citizens, the taxpayers. What's she going to do with it? She's going to take $50 million from you, and what? She's going to fix the roads, the bridges, pay teachers a little bit more. She's going to get some more police on patrol to make your community safer, jobs programs, increased education opportunities for, post-secondary options after high school so people can get into college, right? Is that what she's going to do with $50 million? Let's take a listen. Here's the NYC comptroller and mayoral candidate, Brad Lander. I'm sorry. That's what the Forbes title here says. And I guess it is. But let's listen to Kathy Hochul explaining. She's going to take $50 million to you and give them to...
that are walking out of this courthouse, taken away from their families. They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation, that are walking out of this courthouse taken away from their families.
Did you hear that?
They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers.
$50 million.
And that's why the state of New York
The state of New York is going to take $50 million of your dollars
is providing $50 million
to illegal aliens for lawyers.
to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation.
Finding themselves in this situation. What a strange way. What a twisted way to phrase that these people find themselves in a situation. No, you would maybe find yourself in a random situation. Like, oh, I find myself in a situation where the house flooded. I find myself in a situation where there was some hail damage and I have to have my roof repaired. I find myself in the middle of a riot. No. If you broke into a nation illegally, you don't find yourself in that situation. You placed yourself into that situation. And dealing with the consequences of your actions is something that $50 million of your taxpayer funds should not be squandered to give them. These people made their decisions. They chose poorly. Let them sort it out. They don't find themselves in this situation. They created this situation. Actually, that's what I'm going to type. HOCHUL says these people find themselves in this situation. But that's BS. These illegal aliens placed themselves into this situation by breaking our laws. No matter how hard Hochul tries to twist this language, we see through her theft of $50 million from residents and citizens, when that money could have paid teachers more, expanded college options for residents, and placed more police on the streets to make their communities safer. This is madness. Fire every Democrat everywhere. Hashtag flee blue cities. Hashtag flee blue states. There you go. That's what I'm posting. But by the way, how many hours ago? 4 hours ago, I put a comment and said traitor button. Traitor button. 660 likes in 4 hours on this. She is a traitor to the citizens of New York. I was out there last year. I had the opportunity to report for Real America's Voice. I was on with Jack Posobiec, a couple of other programs. They used my reports on Steve Bannon's show that night. The residents of the Bronx cannot stand the illegal alien invasion. The residents, I think it was 86% Black and Dominican per population, self-reported statistics of the residents in the Bronx. They were furious at the Democrats for stealing their money. They're like, I take $100 to the bodega. I can barely get a bag of groceries. And they're putting these illegal aliens that broke into our country, broke into our city. They're giving them 5-star hotels over there with endless credit cards that never run out of money. We are struggling. We need help. Why are they giving our resources to other people, especially people not even allowed to be here? They were furious. So don't believe that this Kathy Hochul stance is a popular one. It is not popular, and it's not popular in New York. Do not let them lie to you. I was on the ground there interviewing them. You can see my footage. I probably have footage I haven't released yet. It's just been a long year. But yeah, the residents are not having this. Kathy Hochul needs to be removed, recalled, repealed immediately. Vote her out. Yeah, 660 likes in 4 hours when we called her a traitor. Responses to my traitor post, they say, hey, at the New American Media, if people refuse to pay their property taxes, she'd have no money to do this. Wonder if it could be done. And then John says, at the risk of losing your home, slim chance. And then I'll reply, hey, John, it's not like the professional. Well, no, I'll just leave it. We'll move on to the next story. Getting a little into the weeds, and today's show has to be prompt and abbreviated. Let's go from crazy New York to crazy California. Yeah, Gavin Newsom was the governor when I was there. Very happy to have fled. Pushed a lot of great people out. Joe Rogan, myself, Ben Shapiro, go down the laundry list. There's a lot of good common sense people that looked around and said, you don't have my best interest in mind. You're not backing me and supporting me. I don't trust you. I don't like you. I can't live here anymore. We're leaving. So what did the Democrats do in response? Of course. You know what they did? They flooded millions, up to 30 million illegal alien invaders into Chicago, into Los Angeles, into New York. The major centers, these places all hemorrhaged millions of people in their population, meaning they're going to lose congressional seats. When the census is counted, they're going to say fewer people live here. We're going to have fewer seats in Congress, in representation in our federal government because of it. So they said, no, we're going to flood it with illegal aliens and we'll keep our numbers up. No. We're not letting you commit treason to steal our country. You're not going to flood non-citizens who are going to outvote us. We're not putting up with this. Oh, but this immigration, you can't deport so-and-so. Yes, we can. Yes, we can, because the Democrats' plan was so many smart, good people fled our cities, the ones that abused us as totalitarians during COVID. You must get an injection to work. You can't be on a park. You can't be at a park. You can't be surfing. We're going to kick you out of the military unless you inject this experimental thing. They were totalitarians, and you saw who the Democrats really are at their heart. They are the kings. They are the tyrants. They want to rule you with an iron fist, and so we fled. Look at what's happening in Texas, in Florida, in Tennessee. These places are all going to have boosts in their congressional representation because more citizens voted with their feet to get the fuck out of these backwards cities and states that are going to abuse the citizens that live there in favor of illegal alien invaders that moved in. So that's Gavin Newsom in a nutshell. By the way, I did bring up the experimental jabs. So let me tell you, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, under duress, I will tell you to go find countervailing views on health and elections at cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. They will tell you 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of elections. 81 million people totally voted for Joe Biden. None of that was fraud. Bullshit. And they will tell you that the jab is totally safe and there's not a single side effect to anything anywhere. That's what Google and Meta will have you believe. They want to know that their countervailing views to my thoughts exist. So go check them out if you want some more propaganda shoved down your throat. I think you've had about enough of it over the last 5 years, but I digress. Here we go. This is Fed Up Californian here talking about Gavin Newsom. What's going on out here?
Sure, there's definitely no corruption here. Gavin Newsom and his wife have received more than $700,000 from California's largest public utility company, PG&E. $300,000 of which have gone to Gavin's wife's charity organization.
Now, so they get money from PG&E, then they give it to the politician's significant other who runs an air quote charity. Sure they do. It's called money laundering. And we all know it now, thanks to Doge, thanks to USAID, thanks to all of these things. Kenneth in the comments from the previous story. Michael and I say, there's a lot of okey doke going around. Thank you, Kenneth. It's Michelle, not Michael. Don't say that. Oh, how much for the big guy? Yeah, I assume you're not talking about Michael there. You're talking about Joe Biden, the big guy. How much are the kickbacks? Well, the same story applies here to Gavin Newsom. How much kickbacks are they getting? What does 5%, 10% go to? The actual charity? The rest just gets circulated around. Democrats get in power. They steal money. They give it to their favorite people and favorite organizations. Then it goes right back into the slush funds of their campaigns. And oh, the money is so washed, minty clean, like they were running a car wash in Breaking Bad. Yes, we're onto your schemes. We know that you're money laundering. You busted. Kenneth brings out, we're talking about Joe Biden. Or as I call him, Trader Joe. Trader Joe. Here's some honks in the Bronx. Yes. All right, back to Gavin.
You may have heard of PG&E because over the last decade, they've started a number of fires in California.
Oh, PG&E caused a number of fires in California. There were also zealots who were lighting fires intentionally. You had some crazy homeless people doing it. You had some environmental weirdos doing it. And you had some eco-terrorists and maybe some foreign invader sleeper cells activated. Hey, guess what? If you want to wreak havoc on an area, on a city, on a state, on a nation, I don't know, set some coordinated forest fires in vulnerable areas and watch the hilarity ensue. If I were a bad guy, that's what I would do. But now I'm wondering on this video if this background music is going to get flagged as copywritten material. We'll find out.
Which have caused around, $30 billion in estimated damages and killed over 100 people.
Yeah, they're saying the power lines were poorly maintained and they didn't have safety features attached. And it was sparks from some of the PG&E infrastructure that caused the madness.
Despite the horrific destruction, the California Public Utilities Commission have barely penalized the company.
Oh, it's like PG&E just gets away with it.
Biggest fine the company has faced was $200 million for fires they started in 2017 and 18. Now, it's nowhere near the penalty they should have gotten, but at least it's something, and oh no, it got waived. Just a couple days after the fine was imposed, the California Public Utilities Commission Board voted to unanimously waive the fine. Oh, shucks. Hey, by the way, who appoints that board? Oh, it's the governor, who coincidentally's wife's charity got hundreds of thousands of dollars from the company that just got let off the hook. How interesting. But of course, despite that clear coincidence.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
nothing to see there. No big deal. Nothing to see there. All right, let's switch over to our X feed. Make sure you're following us. We're at American_media_. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. Tess here. Let's go through these. Oh, I have to switch it here. So here you go. You could either stay straight on this meme for America first or grab the wheel and veer off and hand the entire government to Israel. Uh-oh. What's going on? President Trump was getting into it with Tucker Carlson. Let me make sure. I'm going to share this clip and make sure that we play it. All right, I shared these two. Let's go back to the profile. Here we go. Try it again. Profile. Okay, so look. Trump, Jay Stewart here says, Trump takes aim at kooky Tucker Carlson. Such a stupid move from Trump. Tucker has been one of his biggest supporters, and even said today how much he admires him. So unnecessary. I agree. I don't like when Trump comes at Massey. I don't like when he goes at Tucker Carlson. There's a way to do it, and there's a bad way to do it. This is dumb. I get why people don't like getting nicknamed and bashed by President Trump. I understand it. I understand that it comes off like a 7th grade insult, like a rap battle. I'm going to insult you worse than the other guy. I get it. But when you are one of the highest batting average hitters in the league, maybe that's not the guy to go after just because he temporarily doesn't see eye to eye with you on something. Trump made this post 2 days ago, and I touched upon it yesterday, didn't really get into it, but he says, someone please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So why is he kooky? Why is he kooky? Didn't like that quip. So here's Tucker Carlson now talking to Ted Cruz about Iran. Full interview tomorrow. Clips are coming out. Matt Tinch says this is what happens when you call Tucker Carlson kooky. He makes you look stupid. Trump needs to get the neocons and never Trump crowd out of his inner circle. Give them hell, Tucker. Take a listen.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population. At all? No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government. You're the one who claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the
No, Ted Cruz, stop it. He just busted you multiple times, not knowing. He knows, and now you're going to say, no, you don't know things about the country. Ted Cruz, you're looking silly here.
Expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims
that is such a weak move, Ted Cruz.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country.
I can't dislike this moment from Ted Cruz more.
You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump?
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe...
All right, that's a good point. If you really believed, like Benjamin Netanyahu tried to say, oh, guess what? It was Iran who tried to kill President Trump. And you should you should fight our war for us because we're your biggest ally in Israel. What? Iran was trying to kill President Trump? It sounds like you're setting up a false flag. It sounds like you're trying to pin the tail on the boogeyman. You know, everything was Russia, 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 Russia. Oh, Trump's a Putin puppet. Oh, Russia rigged the election. Russia, Russia, Russia. Remember all that? Remember 8 years of lies, the fake impeachments? The Democrats went bonkers and the media just went along with it, repeated it thousands of times a day, so that their viewers got brain rot from hearing all these lies. The intelligence agency, you know why? Because they were trying to go to war with Russia. So if you could make Russia the bad guy, it would be easy to fight Russia. They think we're retarded. They think we're stupid. They think we are mentally incapable of seeing through their games, of seeing how they build up a straw man to go after. They pin the tail on the tyrant. Oh, look, they're the bad guy. We got to go get them. They've been pinning the tail on Russia for 15 years now. How long has Russia been the fake bad guy? Just, we got to get some motivation to go get Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Over and over and over. Now it's Iran. Netanyahu's like, we need your bunker buster bombs. So, we have intelligence that says Iran tried to kill President Trump twice. So fight with us or your president will be killed. It kind of sounds like a creepy, thinly veiled threat, in all honesty.
Anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump?
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation.
Okay, that point is so salient. if Ted Cruz actually believed that Iran was behind the attempted assassination of President Trump, he would be calling for their destruction immediately. That's not exactly what he's saying. If he actually held that opinion, he would be calling for military intervention immediately. This is just like, this is the cover story that they're using here. It's the weapons of mass destruction to try to get us into Iraq again.
Can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation.
If President Trump had 2 assassination attempts on him because of Iran, and I remember when it was coming out last year, and you're going, why are they trying to pin the tail on Iran so bad? You know why? I mean, I could play you the clip. You know what? I will play you the clip because it's relevant right now. Let me see if I can find it. Not Mike Flynn. What is it? 7 countries in 7 years. Wesley Clark. Where is Wesley Clark? Seven countries in 7 years, Wesley Clark. Let's take a listen to this. Okay, so here he is discussing the military strategy of America after the 9/11 attacks. Listen to what he said. God, what was this, 20 years ago now? And tell me if the Iran strategy doesn't seem to make sense now, as they're game planning their wars. They're doing their war planning decades in advance. Hold on.
Okay, really?
Hold on. That was supposed to be playing. Got to share this tab instead. Let's start this again.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that."
There you go.
He reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Finishing off Iran. Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. By the way, that video was from 2007, 18 years ago. They freaking called it. The one part that he didn't mention was Russia. So this stuff is plotted out well in advance. But yeah, that's a good point from Tucker Carlson. If Ted Cruz really believed that Iran was behind this, he'd be calling for direct military strikes to defend our president.
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government.
Israel is leading, and we're supporting them. So it's a proxy war led by the United States. Israel are the foot soldiers. We're the ones orchestrating it. Why don't you just say the United States is going to war with Iran? Why don't you just say the United States is going to war with Russia through their proxy Ukraine? Obama did this same shit when the torture programs were going through. Oh no, we don't do torture. We don't have torture in the United States. I told Michelle the other day, that's not who we are. Yeah, you know what they were doing? It was called rendition. You know what rendition was? They were sending the people who were captured to torture centers in northern Africa where they paid somebody else to torture them. And they got to put their hands up and say, the United States does not believe in torture and we don't torture. Yeah, you asshole. You paid your neighbor to torture somebody in your basement. You are therefore torturing that person. You're not going to play verbal semantics with me. You're not going to okey doke me on that one. This whole thing Ted Cruz is trying to do, Israel's fighting them. No, you said we. No, yes, we're doing it. No, but we're not doing it. Israel's doing it. Ted, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. If it's the United States attacking Iran, say it. Because that's essentially what's happening here, and the rest of the world sees it too. We see it. We voted for MAGA, make America great again. We want America first. We don't want to end up in another fucking 2-decade-long quagmire war in a country that 97% of the people couldn't point out on a map for $100. They couldn't put a pin in the right country. And we're at it again. Trump is ready to fall into the same thing that Bush did. Now, of course, Daddy Bush was the head of the CIA. You had the head of, one of the most influential people at Halliburton, Dick Cheney, allegedly running the country at the time. So you can't really absolve Bush of any of that. He was more of a, worker bee for the New World Order, as it were. But Trump was supposed to be something different. MAGA is supposed to be something different. The Tea Party is supposed to be something different. Ted Cruz is supposed to be a part of that in theory, but now he's just going pure neocon.
Figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
They're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
carrying out military strikes.
We are carrying out military strikes. He said we.
For military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
carrying out military strikes today.
We are carrying out military strikes today.
Carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right.
You said Israel was. Right. Oh, and look at him. He puts his hands up. He's like looking away.
With our help.
Yeah, with our help.
Today.
You said Israel was.
Right. With our help.
What?
I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting.
I said we. Israel is leading them, but we are supporting them, just like Ukraine.
Supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said.
Oh my God. This might be the worst interview I've ever seen from Ted Cruz.
Spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel. High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government.
Oh my God. This is the worst piece of look, and I'm an equal opportunity. I'm just calling it as I see it. This is atrocious. The cat is out of the bag.
We're acting on,
as Kramer would say,
Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Oh my God. That was incredible. I was trying to, actually, I need to search that again. Tucker Cruz. Okay, this. Man, this might be the most damning interview of all time. I'm gonna put this up to a poll. Agree or disagree? Be recalled immediately. I'm going to release a poll. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but that's how I feel. This was shocking to watch. Agree, remove, Cruz, disagree. This wasn't bad. All right, vote in our poll. Good grief. All right, I just had to share that one with you. The effing liars. The damage is done. Ted once drove a lowrider and cruised. He's a mess after that interview. I'm telling you, that's an all-time. That is all-time. Let's give Ted Cruz his side of the. He says, did a long interview with Tucker. He released a snippet playing a gotcha on the population of Iran. I declined to play that silly game. No. I think the expose was when you said we are bombing. Oh, no. Israel's doing it. Watch the full 2-hour interview where Tucker attacks Trump, attacks the AIPAC lobby. Why are you defending the AIPAC lobby? What the hell? This is America, and we represent America, buddy. And falsely claims Iran is not trying to assassinate Trump. What evidence do you have that the Butler attack and the golf course attack was Iran? Because the guy who tried to assassinate President Trump in Florida at his golf course, that guy had ties to Ukraine. He was fundraising for Ukraine. That dude was a Ukrainian. Do we have a report on this Thomas Matthew Crooks? I believe that's his name, from Butler, Pennsylvania. Do we know who he's working for? Do we know who scrubbed his apartment entirely clean? Why he had no silverware in that apartment? No fingerprints, nothing. It was like a brand new showroom. That place was wiped clean. Do we know who he was meeting in those buildings right by the CIA headquarters when he was traveling back and forth, according to the cell phone data that was allegedly put out in reports? No, we don't have a full report on that. You're saying that was Iran? Well, that's news to me because I've never seen evidence of that. Oh, but now you're claiming it because we have to go fight Israel's war? Because Israel attacked a neighbor? Why is that our problem? Please explain to me what evidence you have that Iran was involved in either of those 2 assassination attempts. Because that one guy down in Florida, that guy was Ukraine through and through. He was actively recruiting for the Ukraine army against Russia. He hated Trump because Trump was like, no, we're tired of sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries on earth, while our infrastructure needs attention, while our healthcare system needs financial support, while our teachers need to be paid more, while our roads and bridges need to be revitalized, while our country needs to take care of our veterans, where our citizens need some help getting lower interest rate homes so we can live the American dream. No. Let's steal hundreds of billions of dollars, $500 billion sent to Zelensky, the New World Order puppet of Joe Biden, Victoria Nuland, and Barack Hussein Obama, so they could fight Russia, aka so the United States could fight Russia in another undeclared war. No, thank you. No, thank you. That guy was Ukrainian through and through. That's my understanding. Prove me wrong, Cash Patel, Pam Bondi. Where are the reports? Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino. Where are the reports on the Epstein list? Where are the JFK files, the MLK files, the RFK files? What the fuck are you doing anywhere? This Ted Cruz interview was, I'm just going to call it eye-opening. I can't believe what we just watched there. But as Ted Cruz says, go watch the whole interview. He thinks that by saying Tucker is attacking Trump, yeah, he's allowed to have a different opinion. And he's allowed to have the opinion that Trump should not listen to people like you who are encouraging him to get us embroiled in a never-ending Middle Eastern war like every other fucking president has done in our entire goddamn lifetimes. Oh, you think Ted Cruz, by saying, you should watch the full 2-hour interview, Tucker attacks Trump. Well, yeah, Trump deserves to be attacked over this position. Trump attacks the AIPAC lobby. Yes, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, let them advocate all they want. I'm sure they have a right to advocate for what they want to advocate for, but we don't work for them. We're not the servant or the slave of Israel. We're not the servant or the slave of Ukraine. We're not the servant or the slave of anybody but the American citizen. You got that, Ted Cruz? Or do I need to speak slower and use a few more middle fingers? And Ted Cruz here says Tucker falsely claims that Iran is not trying to assassinate Trump. Hey, Ted Cruz, where is your proof? Because I haven't seen a full detailed report. I haven't seen anything that made sense that we should blame Iran for this. You want to lie our way into another never-ending war like Afghanistan, like Iraq 1, like Iraq 2. How about no fucking thank you? Ted Cruz, more like Ted Clueless. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm fired up after watching that pile of horse shit. Oh, wow. We're getting votes already. Make sure. Yeah, good. I just posted this 4 minutes ago. We have 3 votes already. Make sure you go to @American_media_. Oh, 2 votes are saying disagree. This wasn't that bad from Ted Cruz. And 1 vote says, yes, we should remove Ted Cruz. Well, please vote. I think this one's going to get spicy quick. Please vote on it. Leading Report just put this out. I saw it on one of my other screens while I was broadcasting, and it says, breaking, President Trump tells Americans that he is not seeking to get the U.S. involved in a long-term war. Oh, okay, that's great. However, our comment to that is, what about short-term? Because as Ronald Reagan famously once said, there's nothing more permanent in life than a temporary government program. There is nothing more certain in life than a temporary government program. Yeah, you start something temporary, you never get rid of it. Income tax. Oh, no, it's just a temporary thing. Bullshit. Oh, no, it's just going to be a short term. No, we don't want to be in a long-term war. Why are we going to war to begin with? Is this really our fight? Actually, you know what? Now you got me thinking. Let me see what Dave Smith has to say. I met Dave a month or 2 ago. But he's come out against President Trump. Look, everybody's having these fights, and this is what democracy is supposed to. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. Marxists and communists have pure democracies. That's where 2 wolves and a sheep vote on what's for dinner. You get 2 people, you get to destroy the other one. That's not what a constitutional republic is supposed to be, with representative checks and balances. So I'm all about a robust, healthy debate. So, and look, I saw Rob Schneider in Nashville, Tennessee at a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. event last year. I met Dave Smith, and I saw Dave Smith in Washington, D.C. at the Libertarian Convention. Did a great job on stage, and I thanked him for what he did. Told him I was impressed. He goes, well, thank you. That makes one of us. That makes one of you. I go, no, Dave, you did a really good job trying to blend pragmatism, saying, yes, as a libertarian, we have these ideals that nobody can live up to. But at least with President Trump, he has a chance to win, and we can drag him over to the libertarian side, and we're going to get some of the stuff we want. And he was right. Doesn't mean you're going to get everything, because nobody's going to give you anything. There's that famous quote, a government big enough to give you everything that you need is big enough to take away everything you have. So let me unpack this here. You got Rob Schneider beefing with Dave Smith, 2 comics. Rob says, for your entertainment, here is an irrational, self-contradictory, next-level apologist. This person doesn't acknowledge or seem to want to come to the very... I can't see the rest of the quote. Oh, here we go. No, it's still not letting me see it. Oh, that's frustrating. Anyway, so Rob Schneider makes his post about Dave Smith. Dave Smith claps back. He goes, Rob, I'm a fan. Your class of Saturday Night Live is the best ever. I think it's very cool that you read some Mises and were good on COVID. So respectfully, you don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about here. Go focus on something you know about. In response to that, instead of Sean Hannity, this is Han Shawnity, funny account name. It says, wait a minute. Is Dave Smith telling us only experts are allowed to talk? I can't believe what I'm seeing. Look, everything is coming unglued right now. Everything is being ripped apart at the seams. The stitches are popping. The darkest of theories, accusations, long-held animosities. The scab has been ripped open. But to be fair, it's not like the scab was doing its healing. It was festering and it was infected under the scab. You got to clean off the outer facade, the mirage of, things are fine. Things are not fine. And the quicker we address the problem, the quicker we can get healed. You got a gangrenous wound on your arm, but it's glossed over with a temporary scab type thing while it's filling with pus and it's infecting your body with poisons and toxins. Yeah, you got to clean it off. You got to open it up first and then give it a really good cleaning. And it's just all hands on deck. This is the equivalent of a WWE battle royal. This is all hands on deck. Everybody fight everybody. And it's happening now. So I'm here for the conversation, but man, it's getting strange out there. Whew. Here's some pictures. By the way, take a look. MEGA, Steve put, make Iran great again. Look at these pictures. Look at these pictures. It looks like a nice place to vacation at the beach. Wouldn't you like to be in Iran? Oh, look at this wonderful lady. Just looking like a normal cosmopolitan lady. A little bit of eyeshadow, her hair did. A nice fancy dress, fun shoes, colorful chair that she's on. Nice. Actually, it's a cool design. What is it, 60s, 70s? And look, here's some ladies at school in Iran. They got their books. They're in college, I'm assuming. And here's a guy in the snow. Look, this is Iran. It was just, this could have been in upstate New York. This could have been Ohio. Could have been anywhere USA, but now it's just been a totalitarian hellscape run by radicalized Islamists who are pushing abusive policies onto the people there. It's not our job to be Team America World Police, but on the other hand, had that country not slipped to the point where it is now, maybe military intervention wouldn't even be a question. And it's the same question that Europe is facing, Canada's facing, the United States is facing. Do you want your country to be invaded so that they can install their radical ideology into your country and force you to live under their religious zealotry or not? It's a complicated issue. Everywhere. All right, moving on. Libs of TikTok here says this Mexican is taunting Trump. He claims that he was deported and then snuck back into the U.S. a week later. He says, got deported, but I'm on my way back. Not me in the Coyote van headed to the crossing point. Okay. So Libs of TikTok says, let's use the power of X to find him. You can see a little bit of the face, right? Little eye. You got the hoodie. Let's see what the... oh, you can see the full face right there. Oh, you busted, son. You ain't getting away from this one. The digital soldiers have been activated. Make Iran's women hot again. Yes, Kenneth. That makes the world go around, won't it? All right, well, we'll see if we're able to catch this guy. He actually showed his face and claimed that he was sneaking into the country. Good luck with that one, pal. By the way, is this real? Chicago Ray says, how about a get well wish in the comment section for Secretary Noem? She's been hospitalized for an allergic reaction and could probably use some kind words. Get well, Secretary Noem. We need you back ASAP. Is this really Kristi Noem in front of a jail?
Here at CCOT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank
At
El
CCOT?
Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the.
I feel like this could be AI. You got all these prisoners on triple bunk beds. Behind her is a photo op.
Violence that they have perpetuated in our communities. I also want everybody to know, if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
And of course, the Democrats are giddy. They are so happy that Secretary Noem is not doing well. So, put some of that power of positive prayer out there into the universe, shall we? This one here, Trump says, blind to billionaire posts this. Trump just said he would do a better job at being the Federal Reserve chairman versus Jerome Powell. What do you think? Do you think he'd make a good Federal Reserve chair? If Trump were the chairman of the Federal Reserve, would interest rates be at 0? Why are we allowing usury in the United States? Why are we allowing banksters to sit high on the hog while we toil and just pay them interest for the pleasure of being their debt slave? I mean, that's a serious question. I know it sounds snarky, but it's not. The Federal Reserve Bank is privately held. It's not federal. It's not a reserve, and it's not a bank. Prior to 1913, Americans kept 100% of their pay.
1910. Representatives from the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Morgans, and other private bankers gathered secretly to draft the legislation that would create the Federal Reserve.
Oh, there's music in the background.
I found it.
Hang on. Oh, no, I still want to play that. Where'd it go?
This is Jekyll Island. 1813.
Internal Revenue Service was also established in 1913. Income tax was then instigated. So you and I would have to pay the politicians' debt plus interest to the banksters. The problem is we have a privately owned central bank system, says Bill Still, writer-director of the Money Masters, disguised as a... The problem is we have a centrally owned central bank system in the United States, privately owned, disguised as a government-owned system. If you look in the telephone book in the Washington area, look up for Federal Reserve and the blue government pages. It's not there. It's in the white pages next to the Federal Express. It's a privately owned central bank. They're banking cartels who are stealing from us, stealing our wealth. All right. If you're here watching us today, you know all this. Luis here on X says Woodrow Wilson was compromised by the banking mafia at the time and was cajoled into instating the Federal Reserve Act. But everything about it is bogus and null, in my opinion, because it was instituted by an occupied state. And there's mountains of evidence that around the early 1900s is when the U.S. had the most globalist prevalence. Didn't take long for people to reject it, but that didn't stop them. Moving on, Rick Scott here, Senator Rick Scott says, in business, failure gets you fired. At the Fed, it gets you a raise. Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve Board have failed American families and made horrible decisions, leaving taxpayers worse off, while the Fed's employees and board members' compensation exponentially outpaced Americans' wages. Americans deserve accountability at the Federal Reserve. Yeah, we're suffering. They are stealing. Get rid of them all. Remove this system. There is no reason that we need these people. I would love to hear anybody tell me why we need a Federal Reserve. And try to keep a straight face. Good luck with that. Here's a reminder by Darth Powell. Federal Reserve caused young people to be unable to afford home prices. They are the primary cause of this. This is how the Federal Reserve stole the American dream by artificially inflating home prices by manipulating interest rates. So, my advice to anybody out there, buy a place as soon as you can, get something the most affordable that you can in the best location that you can, and just save up over time and try to make it a little bit better as you can. And hopefully it'll inflate It appreciate and let you pull some money back out while your dollars are turned worthless. Chloe Cole reporting here. We did it. Moments ago, the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's child protection law in Scrametti 6-3. Chloe says, is Chloe a dude or a girl? It's California D-trans woman. See, I can't even understand what a D-trans woman is. Is this a guy that chopped off parts and has lived as a woman, but now they're detransitioning back to a man, but now they're missing? Like, this stuff is all tortured, convoluted language. Anyway, whoever this Chloe Cole, California D-trans woman on him, I don't know if that's a guy or a girl. I don't know how the language works. But Chloe Cole is excited. I don't know if do I say she or he? I don't know. Chloe says, my heart is overflowing with gratitude. Every child in America is now safer. Thank you to the state of Tennessee, the parents who never backed down, and every detransitioner who shared the truth. This victory is ours. Congratulations. Protect the kids. And by the way, prosecute the monsters who are going to try to chop off healthy body parts from healthy humans who are just going through something, a psychological disorder known as gender dysphoria. You don't encourage them to do reckless stuff any more than you'd encourage a 11-year-old to get face tattoos because they temporarily thought it was a great idea. Oh, I think it's a great idea to cut my arm off today. Yeah, well, I would encourage you to not do that. And the parents need to act like parents and tell them thanks, but no thanks. And if a doctor wants to do Frankenstein shit, show them the chair. Prosecute them, find them guilty, and prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. And if the law doesn't penalize doctors who are harming kids enough, change the laws so you can include the death penalty. And then maybe you'll stop abusing so many kids across this planet. So now gender affirming, and by the way, don't use this term gender affirming youth care. This is Frankenstein genital mutilation. They'll call it gender affirming youth care. It's Frankenstein genital mutilation. So you got all these states that have banned genital mutilation. The green states have not banned protections for trans patients. These are states that have not banned genitally mutilating people under the guise of care. And then the pink or whatever, peach, these are states that are considering bans. Anyway, so that's Scrametti deciding 6-3, upholding the constitutionality of Tennessee's ban on genital mutilation for minors. This will likely entrench bans of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones to treat gender dysphoria in 25 states. Once again, don't use the term gender transition treatments or gender affirming youth care. No, it's Frankenstein genital mutilation. You protect the kids from wacky parents, please. So many kids grow out of whatever they happen to temporarily be in. But by the time you get to them, they've sliced perfectly healthy parts off. They can never have children and reproduce. They can never experience an orgasm. And who knows what lifetime of cleaning. I can't even get into the details of how you have to constantly, multiple times a day, clean out these open wounds that the body is trying to seal. You can't become something you're not. Stop telling these kids lies that they can. It's child abuse. Tyler Perry is trending, and so are the Boondocks. Boondocks, one of the funniest shows you'll ever see. But they did an episode about Tyler Perry. This person here, Nuri's World, says Tyler Perry did everything in his power to get this Boondocks episode about him scrubbed. It hit too close to home. I'd play it, but I don't want to get a copyright infringement. But Tyler Perry has now been sued for sexual assault by the Oval actor. So keep your eyes peeled. An accusation does not mean guilt. We have a court process for that, but it's happening. Also happening, Elon Musk has taken a drug test, and he's negative across the board, just in case anyone was wondering. Watch this. Caitlin Clark last night goes up for a shot. Oh, wait, that was her revenge shot. So Caitlin Clark is dribbling out here at the three-point line, gets slashed across the face into the eye, and then punched, and then knocked to the ground by another player. Where are where are the people defending Caitlin Clark on her team, on Indiana? What gets hit once, gets pushed a second time, gets knocked to the ground again. There are no enforcers on this team knocking these bitches to the ground. Yeah, you're a bitch if you're knocking the main moneymaker of your league to the ground like that. There was no need for any of this. These were blatant technical fouls, flagrant fouls. That last one by number, you could argue the first foul there, that maybe I got to get this bigger so you can see it. So she gets raked, R-A-K-E-D, scratched in the eye. Okay, maybe she was lunging at the ball, but then she gets pushed for no reason. Then she gets knocked to the ground. That lady that knocked her to the ground needs to be ejected from the game and suspended. That's not a basketball play. That's bullshit. And she wasn't involved in any altercation. She's walking with her back turned and gets knocked over in a cheap shot. Caitlin Clark, I'm once again calling on her to leave the WNBA. They're trying to injure this lady. What is this post? They said that they're treating her like a punching bag. I think she has offers from Ice Cube to join his basketball league for $5 million. I got to double check if that's still on the table or accurate entirely. But either way, why would she want to continue playing in this league? She's the only one selling tickets. She's the only reason people are showing up and buying merch. The only reason why sponsors are paying money to be affiliated with this trash league. And she's being used like a rag doll, like a punching bag. She's literally with her back turned, walking away, holding her eye and knocked to the ground. She should start her own damn league and just go around, do exhibitions. She could, you know how much she could make just doing clinics, do exhibitions like the Globetrotters or the Savannah Bananas. She doesn't need to be a part of the WNBA. The WNBA needs her. I said this about LeBron James when he was leaving for Miami to take my talents to South Beach the first time. It was like, LeBron, you don't need a bigger market like Miami. You're the biggest superstar, the all-around greatest player in the league currently. He wasn't the GOAT at that point. You're the greatest player in the league anyway. You don't need a big market. These big market teams need you. You're the greatest player in the league in your prime. You don't have to leave Cleveland to succeed. You don't need the Laker brand. The Lakers need you. Who the hell were the Lakers for years and years and years after Kobe and Shaq? I don't know, Kyle Kuzma and this and that, but Caitlin Clark doesn't need to take this abuse in the WNBA. She needs to protect herself. This is getting absolutely out of hand. But by the way, she did get her revenge. In case you missed it, there she goes, catches, shoots, scores. And she's all up in her face saying, yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. Let's go. I don't know. It's lady sports. I don't particularly care. But seeing this weird Caitlin Clark abuse after everything she's doing for the league, it's really stupid. Yeah, David talking about the Federal Reserve. There is no reserve. Exactly. You're spot on, David. All right. Mike Ben saying new transparency revealed by Cash Patel and Bongino showing Christopher Wray's FBI compiled intelligence on a China plot to create fake IDs for illegal mail-in ballots for Biden. Then the CBP intercepted 20,000 fake IDs in Elliot Pritzker's Chicago prior to the FBI then ordering that intelligence destroyed. This is treason. This is a cover-up. This was the deep state trying to overthrow the will of the people and the three-time duly elected president, Donald Trump. Heads need to roll figuratively. These people need to be indicted for their treasonous activity already. It's been 100-some days. No major arrests have been made. And if these people are not punished, they're going to do it again. You have to hold them accountable. Anyway, other stuff I wanted to talk about. Here's a weird story. In case you think this is fake, it's not. Brian Cates reposting. IrishTimes.com and New York Post. 796 dead babies have been found hidden in a septic tank at a home run by nuns. These are the dirty little secrets, the abortions that they were carrying out. Almost 800 baby bodies in a septic tank. Yep, it's out of a horror movie, people. Just flush the babies down the toilet where they could drown. What are we even doing here, people? What are we even doing here? Ronnie Winter, the lead singer of a rock band called the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, says Trump voters are not allowed at his shows. He says, if you're a Christian and you voted for Donald Trump, shame on you. You're not allowed to come to my shows. I don't want you there. Even if you voted for Donald Trump, do not come to my shows ever. Not just these 4 years. And so he said, deal. What song do you sing again? I think it was that song about like, I can't remember it, but there was one song I liked by them. But yeah, that's fine. I'll never go to your shows. Hey, here's good news here. Kraft Heinz will no longer launch products in the United States with artificial colors. Artificial colors are gone. Well, it's about freaking time. Let's catch up to what the rest of Europe has been doing by banning our toxic food. Get this shit out of our food supply, please. Kash Patel has turned, FBI Director Patel turns over to Congress an intelligence report raising concerns that the Chinese Communist Party mass-produced fake U.S. driver's license to carry out the overthrow of the United States government during the 2020 presidential election using fake mail-in ballots for a vegetable named Joe Biden. Sidney Powell says, we know that there were hundreds of thousands of fraudulent ballots imported into the country from China. We have video coming across the border from Mexico. Additionally, ballots were shipped from New York to Pennsylvania. Counterfeit ballots were stashed in certain states and shipped wherever they were needed to backfill. You'd have to be a damned fool and abjectly stupid not to see what happened here. So Real Robert is pointing out that Sidney Powell, who filed 4 lawsuits against the overthrow of the United States government on November 3rd, has been vindicated by Kash Patel's actions. Well, I would say we're not quite at vindicated yet, but my God, can we please hurry up and get to the bottom of what happened in 2020 and indict the perpetrators so that this never happens again. The damage that Joe Biden caused this country in the past 4 years is beyond explanation. Here's Ilhan Omar saying we are turning into one of the worst countries on earth. That's my Ilhan Omar impression. Let's see how close I was.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up.
I grew up.
In a dictatorship.
In a dictatorship.
And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that.
Anyway, DC Drano says, go find me another first world country where a Somalian immigrant who married her brother is sitting in an elected national office. I need to get to the bottom of the Ilhan Omar marrying her brother in immigration fraud to get him his green card illegal. I need to know if this story is true or not. Everybody repeats it. I need to know if it's true or not. Mike Barra here with a interesting post. I don't encourage violence, but, you know, jokes are jokes and fun is fun. I do a show with Mike Barra. Let me put it up on the screen. I'm overdue for an episode called Strictly Football with Brian Engelman and Mike Barra and occasionally Jim Mitchell. And he put this post out. He said, wait, they tackled and handcuffed a sitting U.S. senator? Now do the other 99. Mike. No, we don't encourage violence or tackling. That is violence. But it's a funny joke. Mike Lindell. So Mike Lindell, he's claiming that he's fully exonerated, vindicated in a defamation trial, and MyPillow is going to pay $0. He's saying that he refused to settle, took the case to trial, and that resulted in that there was no malice, no punitive damages, no conspiracy, and MyPillow has been completely cleared of liability. However, readers added context on X. A jury found Mike Lindell defamed Eric Coomer, the ex-Dominion Voting Systems employee, awarded him $2.3 million in damages, which is far less than the $62 million he sought. The ruling highlighted accountability for targeting election workers. Coomer's attorney hopes it defers future harassment. So it's a little bit of both. And whether it's Dominion or anybody else, I'm allowed to not trust voting systems with proprietary voting algorithms that we're not allowed to run full diagnostics on, however much I want. I will not specifically name any of them because I don't trust any of them. And maybe that's the response that we should all have. But it is kind of weird because my understanding is he didn't really directly go after Eric Coomer. So it's weird that he was defamed because he wasn't named. Not entirely certain, but there's a little bit of vindication on both sides here. Anyway. And I think that is going to be the extent of what I wanted to tell you today. Let me just check real quick what's trending. World War III is trending. Let's see. Scrolling. Alex Padilla literally fake crying about the stunt he pulled with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem last week. Yeah. Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Go out there acting the way that you acted. You deserve to be removed and arrested for what you did. Easy, especially in the day and age where you've taken 2 shots at our president. So no, we're not playing games as somebody who bum rushes the Department of Homeland Security director in the middle of a speech like a buffoon. You were treated like a buffoon. You earned it. All right. So I don't really see why World War III is trending. Dave Rubin, who many people say is bankrolled by Israel, says Iran's military is basically incapacitated. Their nuke program almost totally gone. I don't think that's accurate. Israel has done this by themselves. Can someone explain to me why Tucker and Alex Jones keep saying this will lead to thermonuclear World War III? If the U.S. gets involved, it's a couple of bombs to finish the job. I haven't seen literally anyone, call for more than that. Maybe that isn't even necessary. Also, note that none of the Arab countries like Egypt or Jordan have jumped in to attack Israel, which they did in 48, 67, and 73. They're happy about this. Seems to me at worst, Iran has sleeper cells, which could be activated. But if that's the case, we should be dealing with that regardless rather than just waiting. Trump knows what he's doing and the sky isn't falling unless you're Khomeini, in which case it literally is. So anyway. Yeah, Trump calling on an unconditional surrender, saying we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right. And then why is Belarus trending? More European stuff. In case you're wondering, this is Belarus. Nope, this is the United States of America. Hold on. Don't know why Belarus is trending. So if something is happening, please let me know. But that's all I had to share with you today on the episode of the TNAM Daily Show. Thank you so much. Our donation links are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to support independent journalism, we are on Patreon at The New American Media. Our tip jar on Venmo and Cash App is Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman. It's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And on PayPal, we are at Fuzz Installment. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time, what day is tomorrow? I'll be back on Monday with another episode. I may have another episode or 2 or 3 in between. We shall see how it all shakes out. But if you don't hear from me for a couple of days, it's okay. It's okay to live your life and occasionally do things that you have to do and that you want to do. Depending on maybe I'll go if I go really early tomorrow. So look for me to go early tomorrow. I'll do a show early tomorrow. We'll see about the next couple of days. I'll be back on Monday. But until then, follow us in all the places because I'll be posting on X, posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook. So make sure you're following the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at the New American Media, Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, and our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. A dandelion. Funny. All right. David, it's another week. No more indictments. I know. We're all frustrated, but let's see how it shakes out. Things haven't got exponentially worse yet, so there's still a shot. All right. Until next time, I appreciate you. I love you, and we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.